matter who goes.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Perfect Faraday.
This is our first episode of our podcast. We don't have a lot of experience, if you guys can't tell, with podcasting. We got ourselves a little amateur setup here getting started. The focus of Perfect Faraday is going to be on solutions-based approaches to a lot of the problems that we're facing right now. You guys hear a lot of stuff in the news, media, social media. You just can't turn it off. You can't turn away from it. And try as you might, you're going to hear about it. I think everybody's dealing with supply chain issues, inflation. These things are related. Political strife, these kind of things. The point of the show is not to be a political show. It's not to complain and whine. Of course, it may sound like that sometimes because we may feel very strongly about something, but the point of it is to actually help to educate and inform and come up with real solutions and approach these problems in a way that gets something done instead of constantly complaining about it and constantly at each other's throats and arguing and the political arguments back and forth and everything. It's about actually finding solutions to problems and going ahead with them. If you think your government's going to do that for you, I got a bridge to sell you. So our first topic. Well, actually, I think we should probably tell everybody who we are first.
That's true. Maybe what we want out of the show.
Yeah, that might be good. You have to excuse us. It's our very first show. My name is George Merchant. If you don't know who I am, for my family and friends out there, if you don't know who I am or maybe what I've been doing for the last 20 years of my life, I have worked in manufacturing for my entire adult life. I've been working in heavy industry in one form or another since I graduated high school. Spent time in the military, nuclear energy field, got out, went to work almost immediately into heavy industry in one form or another, whether it was power generation, manufacturing, you name it. I've been a part of it, and most of my life has been fixing and repairing things. So everything that I approach with the idea of how can I fix this? What can I do to fix this? Is there anything that I can do to make this better? And that's been my life. That's been my whole career, is making things better. Well, after working for so many different people for so long, I decided to start my own business in supporting heavy industry. I noticed that there was a huge gap in skills, as well as several other things that we'll be talking, hopefully, going forward, maybe a little bit on today's show and then going forward on some of our future shows, about the things that I've witnessed, the things that are going on that I think just about any blue-collar guy that's working down, busting his knuckles down in there could probably tell you is true. And I've seen it from so many different angles because I work with so many different industries. And now I work with a lot more industries because I have a spread of customers that's through manufacturing, water treatment, you name it. And when I say manufacturing, I'm talking about food, clothing, base materials, metals, plastics, you name it. And that's what I've been pretty much working on. And now I own a small shop and have a few employees. And what we do is we repair, upgrade, and try to get people up and running. That's pretty much what we do. We support American manufacturing and heavy industry. And there's something you want to tell them about yourself?
Well, my name's Jeremiah, and I don't know. My background's in retail, but I just wandered in here off the street just today, and I was like, "What's up, guy?" No, I've been this guy's friend for about 25 years, and probably about 4 or 5 years ago, what was it now? I come to work for him.
About 4 or 5.
But I have a background in programming and human interface design, and honestly, what I want out of this show is a lot of similar to what he said, but I'd like to go into like some philosophical stuff on some of the episodes. Maybe not always just about the industry, but we'll touch on the industry a lot. So,
well, I think they're interconnected.
Yeah.
Is that human nature plays, and yeah, you can't touch human nature without talking about philosophy.
Yeah.
So I think human nature comes into play on a lot of these things. A lot of what you hear is sound bites when you hear people explain things as why this is a problem. It's those greedy capitalists, or it's those irresponsible socialists, or it's those greedy CEOs shipping all the jobs overseas, and those sort of things are very easy to just say and spit out, and there may be a kernel of truth to each one of those things, but it's not a fair assessment of the overall thing, because the problem's larger, more complex than that. A lot of the topics that we're going to be covering in the coming weeks, they're all connected. You can't touch one without really talking about the other. So tonight's episode, we're going to be talking about the supply chain and what we're actually really facing and what we're witnessing from our side.
Yeah.
If you want, if that's okay, we'll just jump on it. So the biggest problems that you guys are probably seeing, at the store, what you're running into is you're running out of things. You're running out of this item runs out, and you might see it kind of stop back up again a little bit, and then it kind of runs out again, and then like there's sort of this kind of hiccupy thing, and it doesn't seem to be getting better. It seems to be getting gradually worse, and more items. Of course, the big thing on the news right now is the baby formula. I don't think we could talk about this without touching on that at least a little bit. And the problems that people hear, they hear, okay, it's the company that was making the baby formula's fault, or it's the FDA's fault, or it's this fault or that fault, or honestly, it's everybody's fault.
Yeah, there's a lot of
it's truly
finger
everybody's fault.
pointing, but it really comes down to
it's my fault. It's your fault. It truly is, and I know people don't like to hear that. They don't like to hear, oh, it's my fault. What did I do? I didn't choose this. I didn't choose that, or whatever. Actually, we kind of have, in a lot of the ways that we do things. The things that we purchase support certain business practices that are probably very unsafe, and we probably need to do a little bit more research kind of into what it is that we are buying. And I know sometimes you're shoehorned and it's your only choice. So I'm not going to, just say, you were, being bad by purchasing the things that you needed to purchase, especially when it comes to feeding our children. But we are in a situation now where our supply chain is so codependent on exterior forces that it's not like we can run out there and just okay, we've got it back up and going and we're good to go. We've got ourselves into such a position because of globalization, and I'm not saying all globalization is bad, but at the same time we have to stop, we have to step back, and we have to consider what's going on with the globalization and how does that affect our food security, our parts, military security, our core materials. Can we make the things that we absolutely need first? The wants can come second. We can make those things secondary. We can say, well, I'd like to have the newest PlayStation or the newest phone or whatever, but I can wait off on that. I can't eat my phone. So, the core things being, food and shelter and clothing, medicines. I think that most people are probably aware by now that a large degree of our medicines are produced overseas now. That came actually even as a surprise to me. Only a small surprise, but still, I thought that I made an assumption, and you know what happens when you make an assumption, that there would have been people making better choices when it came to our security with our medicines, and I was wrong. So even though I do work in manufacturing and I do see the problems, I've known about the problems for a long time, there's specific industries, especially, they're a lot more secretive about how and what they do. So we find out that we don't have that. So go ahead.
Yeah, that's true. So I don't know. Maybe break down, the supply chain a little bit for them. Let's use the example of the baby formula.
Baby formula, or
like what all goes in, to from the raw product to being in the consumer's hand.
And explain what it is that we're seeing on our side, so that people maybe get a little understanding as to kind of what's going on with some of the stuff. So in the supply chain, you may think that there's this factory out there and they make this item, and some of you, and I don't mean to insult anybody's intelligence, but some of you probably don't think very deeply about it. Like, okay, where does this product come from? Maybe you do with baby formula, a little bit more because your kids are involved. But where does this product come from? How it's produced, and what are the raw materials that feed that producer of it? So in the case of baby formula, you're talking about core ingredients that have to first make it to that plant, right? And where they're prepped and mixed. And that supply chain has been interrupted, okay? So we had an interruption in this supply chain. Now, this supply chain over here was, on the other side of the plant, was already not moving at its greatest capacity. So then my incoming supplies coming into that supply chain right there are there's no catching up. You know what I'm saying? There's no catching up. This plant's already running at 100% capacity. I don't want to say the name of the company. The company's already running at 100% capacity, and they're putting out everything that they can. And whether the FDA gets involved and says, okay, stop, they're still running as much as they possibly can. That's all they can produce, because that's all they can get in ingredients coming in. Some simpler. There's a lot of ingredients that go into baby formula. There's fats. There's different protein sources.
Like stabilizers in there.
Yes,
so
exactly.
It stays, it can be on the shelf for a little while without rotting.
Yes, exactly. And the container that you put it in, and these are all FDA regulated things.
Yeah, and with anything baby food, having worked in retail, they're so they don't want to poison your baby. They're very careful about it. I mean, there was a lot of baby food recalls, and we had to get on it right away. You just don't mess around with that. So you can imagine at the plant they have to follow certain procedures, and they can't use certain types of plastic because it can't have BPA in it or whatnot.
Nope.
So
no, even the when they any place they handle food, they have to do a lot of cleaning. Everything usually is what's called wash down rating in our field. So you've got a lot of stainless steel. Everything's just super clean. It's so they can literally take a hose and wash stuff off with bleach and hot water and kill anything and other things. But even the cleaners that they use in these places are highly regulated. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't be. But that doesn't hold true for every industry. I think in some industries you have a regulation like that where it's just an impediment. It doesn't make anything safe. Somebody thought in their mind, oh, this could make things safer, and therefore they've created this rule or this law. And so when people talk about regulation and deregulating and stuff, I think it is important to take a look at what those rules are and if they apply. Yes, do I want people making sure that we're not getting rotten meat? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, no, I don't want to have. I mean,
that's the
bunch
problem
of
they had
food.
in the 1900s, and with the sausage factories and stuff. That's why the FDA is even a thing.
Yeah, and I'm not against that kind of regulation, and that's coming from me. That says something, because I pretty much don't like the government involvement and the takeover and the pushing companies around. And I on the show, we're going to try to avoid making it political, but these things do cross over politics. It's just there's no choice in the matter. We realize that things have become very tense politically amongst the parties. A lot of finger pointing accusations, And what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to avoid it. But we do have to point out where these things have an effect, because that's just telling the truth of the matter. And the FDA, I think the FDA does some good. I mean, honestly, I think the FDA does do some good. But I also think the FDA does not. I think that sometimes they get in the way of doing things that would be just as good, just as well off, just as safe. And I don't think that's in every case, of course, but I do believe that government regulations do tend to hamper production. That being said, the baby formula, I don't think they can catch up. I don't think there is a mechanism for catching up because the plants just don't exist.
Yeah.
So once you're at capacity, it's like a hose. Okay, you can only push so much water through that hose. You can turn the pressure up on it all you want to, and you might get a little bit more out, but there's a limit to how much it can handle before it's going to tear and burst and cause problems. And the same goes for manufacturing, and baby food is manufactured. All of this stuff is manufactured. When you have a certain capacity there, and then you take it offline, and then you try to catch up, there's no catching up. There is no catching up, because I can make 10 things a day, 10 widgets a day of something, and that's all my plant is capable of making, running 24/7 around the clock, right? And you can't run 24/7 around the clock in any manufacturing environment, because you have to shut down for maintenance, repairs, and we'll get more into that here in a minute. But you can't run forever, and you can't run at 150%. You can run at 100%, and even then you cannot do that 100% of the time. Mm. And so what we're running into is now people are because of after the COVID shutdown and the bounce back up, when people's demand went back up to normal and in some cases above, where people were trying to backfill orders and backfill things that would have been ordered anyway prior, there's no production capacity for it. Most of the places, not all, but most of the places around the globe shut down or severely limited production. And in doing so, they caused a huge hiccup in the system. And there's no making up for it. There's absolutely no making up for it. If you think that it's suddenly going to get better, it's not. It's not. What's going to happen is demand is going to have to fall off. Demand's going to have to fall off. The companies are trying their best to increase production. I've worked with several customers now, and some of them have increased production, but this was like lucky for them. The ones that have been able to increase production was like sheer luck. They were planning on doing the upgrades on the machines. They had the money ready, approved, ready to go. We bought the light just shifted on us. We bought the materials, the drives, motors, gearboxes, everything to do the work, and it was already, like we had it ready, staged to go before the supply chain for our materials just completely broke down. And when I say completely broke down, it's broken down now. It is. I've never seen anything like this in my lifetime.
And you're just talking manufacturing in general, just to
yes,
be clear.
Yeah, and manufacturing.
We actually, just have an idea about like the baby formula stuff, but I wouldn't say any of our customers. They might.
Yeah, I don't have a customer that makes baby formula.
Yeah.
I don't have a customer that makes baby formula. So I just want to speak to, supply chain, what's having an effect on it, manufacturing, why we're having a problem. But it's another manufactured product.
Yeah.
And every single one of my customers is experiencing all of the same problems, 100%. Every single one of them experiencing the same issues, the same problems, the same lack of parts, labor issues, inflationary issues, raw material issues, everything. And I mean, you can just go one to the next. It's an echo. You just hear the same thing again and again and again. It's with the same exact problems, and it's tough. It's really, really tough, because like I said, there's not going to be a instant fix for this. I mean, I think it's irresponsible for me if I don't warn people about what's coming. And I'm not a doom and gloom guy. I'm actually like a really hopeful person. I believe that there's a way out. I believe we can work our way out of this to a degree. I think that we still have more pain to come.
So, I mean, does this play into how we're all responsible or whatever, and what we all can do, to, I don't know, learn from, maybe mistakes we made in the past?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, can you elaborate on that?
Absolutely. So our supply chain issues, our manufacturing issues, I think some of you probably already are pretty familiar with this, but for those that aren't, the things that we're facing right now have been like long-standing problems. It's just that the shutdowns due to COVID, whether you were for or against them, the after effects of that really revealed a lot of the weakness in it. One of the things is that we didn't focus on like the security of our supply chain. And when I say security, I'm not talking about armed guards. I'm talking about making it close to home. And whether you're in America or in another country, I think every country should be producing their own needed goods as much as they possibly can. Now, I'm a made in America guy, of course. This is my country. My whole family served. I'm definitely pro America. I want to see manufacturing coming back. I've worked in manufacturing my whole life now, and I want to see it coming back. I'm a little biased there, of course, but at the same time, I want to see every country being able to produce their own needed goods. Every free country should be able to handle their own needed goods. Now, if you want to trade, PlayStations and tape recorders, aging myself a little bit there, but if it's junk that's on top or whatever, I'm not as concerned about that. I would still like to see those things made here, of course. Yeah, of course, because it's that American manufacturing pride that we do a great job when we make things, and we do. We're highly efficient. American workers actually are highly efficient workers, and we're good at finding new ways of doing things and more efficient ways of doing things. But it's not just the COVID interruption. It's the shipping of American manufacturing jobs overseas for the last over 20 years. We live in North Carolina now, Asheboro, North Carolina, where I have several of my customers. It was the fastest. There was an article in the newspaper because I was trying to move here first. My wife grew up here, and we were trying to move here at one time, and when I pulled it up to look at the area, Asheboro was the fastest dying city in the United States.
The fastest what?
Fastest dying city in the United States. Yeah, what happened was the furniture manufacturers pulled out, textiles pulled out, and a housing crisis hit them. And if anybody hasn't been to Asheboro, North Carolina, it's a beautiful area. So really, you go from like these kind of Rocky Hill area into the Sand Hills area. It's really, really pretty. It's just a nice area, nice people, and just south of Greensboro, nice area. And what was happening in that area was just complete economic devastation. They're doing a lot better now. They're doing a whole lot better now.
Oh, yeah.
And there's thanks to some, like I say, thanks to some of my customers that are corporations. Some of them are big corporations. And people get the idea that like, oh, corporation bad. And you got to understand that, I mean, the people who's now got a job that can put food on the table for the kids, provide a better quality of life for them, they don't look at them that way. They don't see them that way. They may not like their boss. They might complain about their boss like just about everybody does. But the truth of the matter is that it's a job. It's a good paying job, and some of these manufacturing jobs are really good jobs, and they offer an opportunity to grow, to learn. I mean, I work in manufacturing. I program PLCs. I program automation. I get to work with robots. We get to We get to do, Jeremiah does most of the HMI programs with the user interface where people are selecting the buttons to how to run the machine and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not, and networking, you have to be part mechanic, electrician, IT, programmer, sort of, wear many hats in this field, but it's fun. It's rewarding. And there is a lot of opportunity in that, but we've been telling people for so many years that it's dirty, nasty, you're not going to make any money in it. And they were partially correct about the pay, because pay did stagnate for quite a while until more recently. Pay did stagnate for quite a while in manufacturing, but that's just because we were pulling so many manufacturing jobs out. And what we were trying to do was we were trying to make things cheaper. Instead of exploring efficiency to make things cheaper, because you can make things cheaper. You can make things cheaper without sending jobs overseas. The idea that you cannot make something more efficiently and better is a lie. It's a lie that people tell, and they repeat it over and over again. It's something that everybody has come to believe. Oh, we can't make that in America because it'll be $4,000 when it's only $200 when it's made in China. Well, first of all, you got to weigh out quality for quality. If you're talking about the same product, the same quality level, can we make it more efficiently than China can? Can we make it where it costs the consumer less than China can? Yes, we absolutely can. Yeah, we absolutely can. One of our customers, we've worked on several of their machines, makes plastic hangers for Walmart.
Yeah.
I can't think of a cheaper item. I can't think of something with lower margins. I can think of a cheaper item that's made, and they pump these bad boys out by the tens of thousands. They're plastic hangers, right? It's one of the cheapest items you can get, and they sell at Walmart. We've worked on those machines. They sell at Walmart. We're talking about a product made in America, super low margin item, super cheap item, made right here in the United States, less expensive than they can make them overseas. Because remember, you got to ship them to get them here. And there's a cost associated with that, and the cost associated with that went up a lot recently, but they've been making these for years. They've been making these for a long time. This isn't just a recent thing. Now, the orders did go up when the freight containers prices took off and stuff, and I that's probably partially due to the fact that that cost of shipping probably knocked out, because the low margin item probably knocked out even more competition. And these things are nuanced, but you've got these little trade war type things that go on within industries, and other countries price dump things to drive the prices down on things. So it's not a straightforward as in every single scenario. I don't want to act like everything is exactly the same. It's because they shipped a job overseas, or it's because the FDA, or it's because some stupid politician did something that I didn't like, or a greedy CEO, or whatever. It's usually more nuanced than that. There's usually a lot of factors when you're talking about it. So I hope that we're clarifying a little bit, because this is a confusing issue. It is very, very difficult when you're talking about supply chains to completely visualize, to step back from it. But if we were to talk about something really simple, like producing a nail, for example. Let's just talk about like a nail, a metal nail, right? That you might use to hammer a stud together, right? So you've got this box of nails that you went to Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever. I don't want to pick on anybody. You went to the hardware store and you got yourself a box of nails, right? So you're the end of the supply chain, okay? That's it. Prior to that, Lowe's had purchasing agents. They go out, they try to get the best deal they can on nails or whatever item it is that there's a demand for. The company that's selling it to you very closely tries to track these things. It tries to use this data to help determine what it is that they need to keep on the shelf ahead of time. So now they've reached back and they say, okay, to our suppliers, and they go to the manufacturer, or maybe even possibly another middleman there, and they say, hey, we need 16 penny nails. and this is what we need, and we need 4 tons of them or whatever, however they measure them out when they buy them in bulk. So they reach back and they say, hey, we need this. Right now what's going on, normally what would be going on would be like, all right, this is how much they cost. And they say, okay, we're going to buy them. And that's pretty much it. And they get shipped, and they get shipped in bulk, usually to a distribution center. From that distribution center, that'll go out to their satellite stores from there. And then you go pick them up and buy them. And that's it. Well, what's going on now is they're reaching out and they're saying, hey, we need, 4 tons of nails, and they're being told, we can sell you a ton. Our other customers that are buying them too, we're having to try to sell a little bit to everybody. So we can sell you a ton, and you a ton, and you a ton. And you go and you ask the manufacturer, what's wrong? Why can't you make nails? Why can't you make more nails? And they say, well, we can't get the steel. We can't get the metal. Why can't you get the metal? What's the problem with the metal? So now we start stepping back through the supply chain, because nails is a finished good. Kind of technically a finished good, right? And they are making a final product there, a nail producer. And then prior to that, they had to get the materials in to make it. Well, they're saying, well, you go and you say, okay, who smelts the metal? Who produces the metal? Well, they're saying, well, we can't get people to work. We don't have enough people to work. We can't process it. We're at about 25% of what we could run before. And people say, well, hire more people. Pay more. Well, we only make a penny per ton. We only make 3 cents per ton. We can't afford to bring up wages overnight like that. So, okay, well, I guess we're going to have to charge more. All right, so they said they upped their price, and you see the price. You end up seeing that price go up, because now they're having to pay their people more to just entice people to come in. But they're still, even after that, they're still, okay, the raw materials to the smelters, because they don't mine the ore. They don't mine the stuff. Okay, mm-hmm. Then you've got a mining company involved. Okay, and they're facing the same problems. They're facing labor shortages.
The mining company is on its own supply chain that could be broken.
Exactly.
From that.
Exactly. And the problem is that these mining companies are facing the same exact problems that everybody else is, and they can't get the materials. Plus, they're not just facing what everybody else is. Plus, mining is heavily regulated. And I'm not saying people should just be able to go and spill stuff into waterways. I actually very, very, sensitive to what people do around our waterways and our fresh water. I think that we have to be very careful about that. But at the same time, I also believe that there is severe overregulation, and if we can't offshore our dirty problems over to other countries, because we don't like it, because we say, oh, I don't like that this mining process is really, really nasty. I don't want to see it in my backyard. Therefore, I'm going to go ahead and ship it overseas. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? All you're doing is shipping the problem, shipping the issue over to another country. But the problem still exists. The dirty problem still exists. The poison still exists. The pollution still exists. But it's okay because it's being done over in this poor country in Africa, right?
Yeah, and we've just gotten the mindset as consumers, we don't care where our products come from.
No.
We don't think about it.
No.
But yeah, touching on consumerism, I just think we've put our values in the wrong place. We're all about the fancy things, getting the newest thing every year, and we want to strike out against the evil CEOs when we don't realize, we're part of the same problem, when you're buying, do you really need the brand new $1,200 phone every year, especially in crisis that we've been in the last 3 years? That's not what we need to be focusing on right now. We need to be shoring up the needs, not the wants.
Absolutely. And if you get nothing else from this video, I really do hope that people can get the message brace for impact. It's not over, and it's going to get worse. From what we're seeing and the issues that we're seeing, we can't get parts. We can't get the things that we could get the same day, next day, within 2 days prior, to keep manufacturing running. Some of the most common input and output cards on one of the most common controllers in the United States. For those of you that are not familiar, it's just a interface thing that's necessary to run machines, right? Run automation. When I say automation, I'm not even talking about like the super automated robots. People think automation, they think stuff flying around. I'm talking about like conveyor belts. You know what I mean?
Just pushes the product from
here
to here.
Yeah, exactly. We're not talking even like the super high end stuff, but this is necessary from the simple to the more complex. It doesn't matter. These cards are necessary. I ordered some cards in November. They still have not gotten here. They supposedly are supposed, if I can trust it, because a lot of these things they just keep getting pushed out. Supposedly I'm supposed to get them in August. I don't believe I'm going to get all those parts in August. They're saying August. I think that was just they were going to put that way far out and hope that they could hit the goal. And I understand that. I've made a lot of calls, even outside, our customers' experiences. I'm just hearing the same thing. I call manufacturers that make the things we need, such as the electronics components and stuff like that here in the United States. And yeah, some things, electrical stuff is actually still made here in the United States. We were purchasing safety mats, it's just a safety product. When you step on it, it'll shut the machine down and stuff. That way you can't get too close to any danger. And they weren't. The time kept getting pushed out. So I went in and called the production manager. I'd never talked to him before. I said, I'm not going to beat you up, but I just want to see what problems you guys are facing. Just hear it from the horse's mouth. And what he told me wasn't surprising to me at all, considering what's been going on for a while. But this may be a little bit surprising to some of you guys. Is the first one probably not so much. The labor issue. He said the labor issue is killing them. They said they're on their best weeks. They're at 50%. This was a plant up in New Jersey. They're at about 50% of their normal staff of what they would really need to be at to run full production. And of course, that's very difficult. You're not going to be able to produce as much, the people there to do it. And then the other side of it was his raw materials. He's like, I can't get sheet metal, okay, and laser cut sheet metal is what it was. This product uses two pieces of sheet metal that make electrical contact when you step on it in order to trip the system so that it'll shut off. Well, a great product too, really good product, and made in America. Well, I said, well, where are you? If you don't mind me asking, where are you getting it from? And he said, we purchase our sheet metal from Germany. And I thought, that's kind of strange. That's not China. It's not a third world country. It's not a economically upcoming country that we usually try to get cheaper products from. I said, Germany, really? He goes, yeah, we pay about $10 a sheet from Germany. He said, I can't find it for under $100 a sheet in the United States. I can't make a product at a profit buying it from metal processed here in the United States. Now, I don't know if you guys didn't know this or not, but Germany's standard of living is at or above our standard of living. They're a first world country. We're not talking about a poor country at all. We're talking about a relatively wealthy country. They may not be the size of the United States, but their GDP, versus their population is good, or was, and they were the ones that were producing the steel. Now, of course, COVID, the interruptions, the slowdowns, they're having a hard time getting back up and going too. They're facing the same sort of issues, and he can't get very much, coming out of Germany, and he can't afford what's made in the United States. So, people are like, oh, okay, but you got to step back from that for a second and say, wait a minute, if Germany can make it and ship it all the way from over there to over here for a laser cut piece of sheet metal, why can't we? People are thinking, because normally when people think something's made overseas and it's cheaper, they're thinking China, right? You're not thinking Germany. I mean, Germany is synonymous with engineering and quality. But here he goes, 1/10 the cost.
Mm.
So if you still keep buying into this lie that it can't be made here, it's just that. It's not true. It's absolutely not true. Because then you got to pay the cost to get it here too.
Yeah.
And what's the cost if we make? And for the people that are have heavy environmental concerns, what's the environmental impact of making it, a state or two over or just down the road versus Germany and getting it here?
Yeah, quite a bit. I mean, it's not like they fly these things over, and even if they did, there's the jet fuel of it, but they come over in big cargo ships, and what powers the cargo ships?
Whole lot of diesel.
A whole lot of diesel.
Whole lot of diesel.
Okay.
Yeah. Big old diesel ships. Yep. And we're maybe a few other fuel sources, I guess, probably too. But we're in a point now where we've bought into a lot of the rhetoric, and I have too. I mean, there's things that have been said that I just, that sounds right. And so I just thought, okay, yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about right. But all through my career, I keep seeing these examples. I worked for a very large corporation that made non-woven materials for diapers and medical gowns. Well, the only finished product that we made at that plant, because most of it was just raw material production, rolls of the stuff, the only finished product we made there was medical gowns, disposable medical gowns, which they moved the machine that I worked on down there for so long time up to Lexington, North Carolina. But that machine was actually like 30, 40 years old when I started working on it, and that's been a while back now.
Yeah, you're surprised. There's a lot of stuff that makes the stuff you make is
old.
Might be older than some of you.
Absolutely is older than some of you. Absolutely. I work on machines all the time that are older than me. They're not new machines. A lot of this stuff that people make investments in, and they might redo the wiring on it or something like that. They might take a part off and get it re-machined and repaired. Why buy a new machine if you can still produce and in a lot of cases that works just fine.
On the consumer side, we could, demand that companies bring back, I don't know, like right to repair or, like fix things and not just become
absolutely,
like push back against the disposable side of consumerism because, back in the old days, people would have their TV repaired rather than throw it out or upgrade it to the latest or greatest thing. I mean, these are things we could be doing as consumers. Being the end of the supply chain, I know you maybe heard it before, but you can talk with your wallet. It's easy to be like, oh, that CEO over there is evil. Well, you can take them to task by not buying their product, not buying into their abusive, actions or whatever. But we just get so complacent, and we're, like I said, especially in the last 2 or 3 years, it still seemed like people were all about, we got to have that newest, greatest thing. Like we need to focus on the needs and definitely, even some of the fixes I've seen in the last few years, from government or whatever, we're focusing more on, the stuff that's not as important. I mean, I guarantee you, a lot of people out there are going to starve if everything shuts down, because your food doesn't just appear in the grocery store. As we can
people talk
about their supply chains.
When energy costs goes up, which is what's happening right now, when energy costs goes up significantly, people starve. It costs people's lives. Absolutely costs people's lives. People, you don't take my word for it. Do a little bit of looking of your own and see what the relationship between starvation and energy costs are. When energy is cheapest, more people are fed, and that's just the way it is. It's a harsh reality, but it is reality. And some of you are probably experiencing this now, as inflation's going up and gas is a form of energy. That's all it is. It's an energy cost is going up. It's probably hurting you bad. For some of you, it's probably hurting you really, really bad. And I've seen several stories where in certain areas of the country right now, people that have never needed assistance any kind of assistance whatsoever, are now having to go to food banks to feed their families. And when I say brace for impact, I mean it. I mean, really, like, it's not over yet. It's not going to you're not going to turn on the news tomorrow and be like, oh, everything's fixed and better and stuff. And one of the problems is because, just like Jeremiah's saying, man, we got to take a look in the mirror. We got to take a look in the mirror and see what it is that we can do. Because if you think a politician is going to fix this, I got a bridge to sell you. They're not going to fix this. This is going to take individuals. This is going to take people making the right. This is going to take change in the culture, a change in thought, a change in how we do things. People talk about sustainability. People don't even understand what sustainability means. It's like a buzzword for a lot of people, but they don't understand what that truly means and what the effect of their policies and ideas have on people's lives, the impact, the amount of starvation it causes across the globe, and the moral implications of making these sort of decisions. Government's not the answer, and it's not going to be the answer. If you think that the government's going to bail you out, if you think this, whoever you just got elected in these midterms or whatever, if you think you're going to elect in somebody that's actually going to make a change, I've never seen a single person, congressman, senator. There probably is one out there that I don't know about or whatever, but I've never seen a congressman or senator at a national level, certainly not a president, anything like that. I've never seen a single one of them know a damn thing about a supply chain, that knows how manufacturing works, that understands really, truly where their food comes from, what it goes to make it, how close and tight the margins are on American farmers. They don't get it. And no, who spoke up for the dairies that have shut down in the last 20 years, 20, 30 years? All the family dairies just gone. Did people stop drinking less, using less dairy or whatever? Because it's not just milk, but cheese and everything else. I don't think so. We've got more people. We love cheese. We're corking down the dairy. I don't think that's what it is at all. It's the little guy got crushed, absolutely crushed, and these are government policies that cause this kind of thing. If you think you're going to rely on somebody else, they don't know what they're doing. They got no clue what they're doing. But there is things that we can do. Absolutely, we absolutely can do to make things better. And that is that we start demanding that we make it here. That we stop using products and services that are connected to countries that want to see us dead. Mm. That we stop fueling all this junk overseas. These dead end wars, this garbage. And yeah, of course, be informed, vote for the right person. Yeah, I think that's a responsible thing to do as well. But if you think you're going to vote in the answer, I've never seen it in my lifetime. I mean, seeing is believing. I've never seen an answer voted in. I've seen politicians make promises that are broken. I've seen people try. I mean, I've seen politicians, I think tried, and came against such great opposition, even within their own group or whatever, their own tribe. And I think we need to stop thinking along those terms, and we got to start thinking about the human race.
Yeah,
we got to start.
We need to get back to caring about our neighbor and not letting the media or the political party on one side or the other divide us and make us so divisive, that we want to strike out at our neighbor rather than seeing that they're very similar to us, and that they're suffering just the same as we are. I'm sorry, but a big chunk of the country. It's not the 1% we always like to talk about, but
there ain't a whole lot of those.
A big, chunk of the country is you and me, and we hurt just the same,
Yep. Yeah.
But we're letting the elite class basically pit us against each other, going at each other's throats. There ain't no point in that.
No, I think that we have to start thinking for ourselves and thinking about what the right thing is to do for yourself, your family, your neighbors, and draw in and try to bring other people in.
A really good sense of community.
Yeah, much
from the
tighter.
small, and maybe it works out. Or
because
like outward.
this national level crap, all it's doing is dividing people. It's not making anything better. It's not going to make the supply chain better. If you think the government can fix this problem, man,
I found in my lifetime, rather than guessing what my neighbor needs, like ask them, like talk to somebody, rather than trying to be a savior or to something that maybe they don't even need your help on,
I agree.
Go and talk to them, ask them. I mean, just talk to people. We stopped doing that. We'd rather be on our little consumerist phone. Like I like my gadgets too, but I'll put it down. If I need to talk to somebody. Like. That doesn't need to continue to be our only way of communicating, because it's very empty and hollow. It's like made us a very short attention span, just hollow, hollowed out inside.
I agree, man. I agree. I think that a lot of what's going on, and we don't mean to sound like we're just scolding everybody, because I feel like, I don't know about you personally, but I do feel like we've all played a part in it. I do believe that we've all played a part in it, and it's always, and we don't want to take ownership. We don't want to take responsibility for our part in it. So it's always easy to blame the other, and I think that we all have a little bit of guilt to share in it, and making it easier and making it more convenient, wanting the nice new thing and stuff, and being driven by that, the look of the bright and shiny new thing, has led us to where we are now, and now we have to back up and we have to rebuild it. So this podcast is supposed to be about solving problems. So we've kind of, I think, laid out the complaints, the issues, the things that we're going. Supply chain, yeah, we have backup and port issues. That was basically because we shut down and then picked back up, and the demand went back up. It caused such a log jam, mostly in California, but caused such a log jam there. Their regulations, their laws also play an impact on that. Whether you'd like to admit it or not, that of course also has a negative impact. Telling drivers they have to follow these certain rules and stuff. Maybe they're good rules, maybe they're not. But regardless, we're just talking about the math, right? It has an impact, okay? It may have a negative impact on it. So when we're taking a look at these things, we got that coming in, labor issues being able to actually get the raw materials in, because their part has labor issues as well, and they have supply chain issues as well. They are having a hard time getting parts. We're having a hard time getting parts, guys. We have a hard time getting parts to fix the machines, to keep things.
That makes the things.
Yes. That makes the food and makes the lights come on and everything else. So now that we're all like doom and gloom and it's the end of the world, I think that we need to switch gears here. We need to start talking about what it is that we do about it, because there is things that we can do about it. First, start considering what you're buying, okay? That's going to be, I think, one of the most immediate and also probably a little bit difficult things to do. Start looking at what you are buying, okay? Try to buy stuff that's made in America. If you're in another country, try to buy stuff that's made in your country. Start demanding that it be made in your country, okay? Be honest with people. Say, I'm not going to buy it. I mean, especially if it's a want. If it's a need, you got to do what you got to do. If you got to feed your kids, you got to feed your kids. I understand that. You got to get a part for the car. It's not made anywhere else. I understand that, okay? I'm not being judgy about that. I understand that you have to do what you got to do. But for the things that you can impact, don't buy the stuff that's made in some country far away. Buy the stuff that's made in your country. Buy the stuff that's made at home, okay? And start pushing for that as much as possible, because that's going to help build the security, okay? That's a shift in the culture. That's what we can all do, okay? That is a direct impact. That's what we can all do, okay? Next step, going forward, of course, you got the whole voting thing. Inform yourself. I'm not going to tell people how to vote. I'm not going to tell anything like that. But ask about policy. Stop talking about tribalism and feeling this way. Like, ask what they're going to do. Are they going to try to deregulate? Are they going to try to help protect home industries from foreign, not just competition, but meddling and price dumping and things of that nature? Are you going to try to protect your people? Are you going to try to protect the jobs that are in your country? Are your politicians going to do that? Ask them about policy. See what is it that their plans are and what is it they're going to do. Of course, again, I don't think they're going to be able to do much for you. I don't think it is at all. Next thing, encourage your kids to find real work. Okay? Stop trying to tell every kid out there that they need to go get a college degree to be successful in this world. Okay? I heard that my whole life. That was the generation prior to me. That was the mantra, and it's in error. Okay? It's in complete error, because where they got that idea from was they saw that in their generation, they saw that successful people went to college. A lot of successful people, not all of them, but a lot in their generation, a lot of successful people went to college, made more money, did well. Well, the thing is in their generation, only a small percentage of the population went to college. And these were people that were highly motivated people. They were going to more likely be successful no matter what they did. It's just that they had an interest, they had a passion in something, whether it was a science or whatever it is, and they followed that passion. And some of them led through college, and they went on to be very successful because they were driven, passionate people. It doesn't matter that the college part of it was just a stepping stone for them in their pathway up. It doesn't mean that everybody needs to take that pathway, though. And I'm not poo-pooing on higher education.
Obviously, we still need doctors.
Oh, absolutely. I want to make sure my doctors and nurses and
just to be clear, it's not the only path. We need to stop just saying that's the only path, especially because there's a lot of kids that don't have a passion for college. I mean, I took 2 years myself. Everything I ever learned, I learned by myself. I have the self-motivation. That's not for everybody. You know, some people do need the rope. Rope. What's the word I'm looking for? Rote rehearsal or whatever of learning.
Yeah. Some people, like Michelle, my wife.
Yeah.
She's really good at learning stuff from a book and taking tests and memorizing things and just memorizing tons of stuff. And not everybody's built that way.
Yeah, and I think, not everybody's you and I both, we just learn through doing. We want to get out there and do it and, just hit the ground running, learn,
Yeah, and
that's not for everybody, but we just need to stop saying that's the only path. I mean, we need to maybe, we don't need to, we definitely need to bring trade schools back and, start bringing...
that was my next point.
Yeah, isn't it high schools and stuff now are getting rid of shop and stuff? I mean, that's crazy to me.
See, a lot of the community colleges, vocational type training and stuff like that, a lot of them aren't even very good. People talk about, I'm going to go to vocational school, stuff like that. A lot of the guys that are coming out of a lot of the VOTEC type stuff, it's like mini college. They're coming out and they don't have the necessary skills to do the job. So I'm not saying all of them are that way. I'm not saying every single one of them are that way, but from my experience, what I've experienced nowadays is that even that is really kind of iffy. Some of the best training is just by doing. I mean, really, when it comes down to it.
There's a lot of employers now, especially in the manufacturing field, that you go there, you start working, you can work your way up, and they'll pay for your college,
Pay for college, pay for training,
pay
for you to go to vocational school, get a welder certificate, take automation technology stuff, And if that's the path you choose, it's not everybody's path, but there is opportunity there, and there's opportunity to learn. So my point is, encourage the kids to find out what it is that they're good at and that they're passionate about, right? So if they're good at it, they'll probably like it if they're good at it. That's one of the things. That's kind of the funny thing is usually when people are really good at something, and other people are like, man, you're really good at that. That's usually the thing that they end up liking quite a bit. And I do believe that we'll probably see more of that going forward. Because of the severe crushing debt that the push for college has put so many people under, that thought that, hey, I'm gonna go to school and get this 4-year degree in underwater basket weaving and come out the other side and realize that $80,000 of debt for a degree doesn't necessarily mean it's a path to success. And I know that's extreme, a little tongue in cheek there, but so pushing the kids, bringing back the VOTEC type training in high school, because people need to start to be exposed to electronics. The world of tomorrow is electrical. The world of tomorrow is programming, electrical, real world things, not apps on a phone. Those things are a dime a dozen. I don't know, dude. Like when we were younger, we used to hear about programming. Programmers will make so much money. Programmers will make so much. That's not what I saw. No, I saw all these programmers and stuff like that, and you know what they did? They hired guys out of India.
Yeah.
And they hired guys out of Russia. And they hired guys out of China, and they paid them a pittance. And then a guy over here might make a little alteration to the code and stuff like that. Video game developers, things like that. People, I want to go work in video games. I want to go look and see how much those people make. Go and see how much.
Well, the amount of hours they put in,
yeah.
Even if they do have a good salary, it doesn't balance out.
Oh yeah. And I've actually known some people in the industry, so
yeah.
It's not like
everybody wants to learn to code, but like what we do in coding is actually enjoyable because you can see the end product.
Yeah.
But yeah, a video game's a video game. Your youth are into it. I love me some video games, but so much goes into that, and just being a programmer in that field, they just sit there and they churn out code all day. Like it's not the super fun thing to do. Like it's cool to think that you worked on the latest greatest video game, and
But my whole point is, I'm not trying to pick up video games in particular.
Yeah.
But my point is that just because it's like the popular idea that that's gonna be a really good career, I'm gonna make so much money, and if it's something that you love and you're like, I make 30 a year or whatever, but I don't care because I really love it. Good on you, man. Good on you. There's nothing wrong with that. Good on you. But if you've got to support a family and you've got to take these things into considerations, you're probably going to be miserable, because if you can't make ends meet, it's not going to feel good. It's not going to feel good. And I think being honest with people about things, I think is very, very important. So, get those kids interested in the more technical type of work, hands-on type of work. It's very enjoyable. People have these great misconceptions about it, and it is rewarding. When you fix something, when somebody calls you and they couldn't figure it out, nothing they did could figure it out, you show up 5 minutes later, machine's up and running, they're beaming from ear to ear, and they're going, how do you do it? And you realize it's a lot. It became easy for you because you learned how to do this thing. It feels good. It really does. It feels good. It feels really, really good to help other people, to make a good living, and to have a positive effect, right? So if we're going to impact these things and make them better, we got to tell kids, all right, let's start taking a look at what it is that you're interested in. Let's find what you're interested in, and let's get you pursuing type that. And if you hear your kids say, I want to be a blogger or a YouTuber or an Instagram influencer, you failed as a parent.
That's terrible to say. I mean,
I'm only half joking.
There's obviously instances where that works out, but that's just like somebody wanting to be a movie star. I mean,
Yeah.
we're doing this podcast. It might become big or not, but we have a job already on top of it. You need to instill into them the fact that, I mean, and you probably already do. I'm not going to lie. I'm sure a lot of parents, don't think their kids are going to be the next, PewDiePie or I don't even know, like
PewDiePie
or PewDiePie. I don't know, or video game, streamer, because there's you want to talk about an oversaturated market, that's done,
Yeah.
There ain't a whole lot of people standing out unless they're doing really stupid stuff nowadays, and that's our society, needs to reassess our values,
we don't
all of us,
we don't need to go down that path.
Yeah, that's for another episode.
But we want to focus on the solutions, right, guys? Because this isn't just a message about what's wrong in the world. You guys know what's wrong in the world for the most part. I think that us sharing our insight from the inside hopefully clarifies things and stuff. I know that probably doesn't make you feel all that much better about the whole situation. Sorry for that, but sometimes knowing does bring some comfort. But impacting the fix for this, it's not going. The other thing is to prepare yourself. This is not going to get fixed overnight, guys. This is not going to happen overnight. There's no quick fix for this. There's no Amazon delivery for this, guys. It's going to take years.
Chucking money at it, without a good plan or whatever is not going to be a solution. It's just
not only is it not a solution, it's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah,
it's a recipe for disaster. I don't think that we should just chuck money at it. This isn't a problem where I'm going to the government and saying I want money to go do this thing. This is not it. No, this has got to be an organic thing. This has got to be something that happens the right way, that's built back up the right way. If we're gonna to build our food and medicine, our material security, our energy independence and security going forward, then we've got to look at things in different ways. And one of the things is getting our kids interested in these things, in the technical things, in the things that make a difference, and whether that's an electrician or a plumber, the tactile things, working in manufacturing, farming, there's nothing wrong with that, food production, just getting kids interested in the things that really matter, that really produce value for others is, if you do that, it's very commendable. I think that's the path that people should be taking. That's just one of the things, are demanding that your products be made at home, or close to home as possible. Encouraging kids to start in this technical way, making your personal choices and choosing to buy things that are made at home. And of course, you're asking your politicians locally and nationally, about policy instead of just getting into the ditches and arguing about politics and stuff. Because you want to ask them to get out of the way. It's really what you really want to do. Is you're really looking for them to get out of the way. Just do what is it you're going to do to stop making this problem worse. Stop making the problem worse. Please stop making the problem worse. Please stop printing money. Please stop printing money. And obviously all parties have a lot of blame in that. But I think that there is an opportunity to make it better. I just don't think it's going to be done overnight. It looks a whole lot like hard work. And for the last big thing, and this may seem a little esoteric and kind of out there, and ideas, is encouraging the young to appreciate hard work. I think that one of the more core things that we need to do in changing our culture is to impress upon people well, young and old, but after you get to a certain age, it's real hard to impress that on the people.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think I'm the hardest working guy in the world. I do believe I work hard, but I don't think I work half as hard as. I don't think I work half as hard as some people I've met.
Study in the back of your eyelids.
That's right. That's right.
I guess you got to do that when you're the boss man.
That's right. That's right. But it's the encouragement of hard work, because we're not going to get out of this by shipping the hard jobs overseas to desperate people. Okay? I want them to come up too. I want their standard of living to come up. There's no reason their standard of living can't come up too. I want their standard of living to come up. I want them to have better lives, and the idea is that we do have to instill the value and the enjoyment of hard work. It feels good to do a hard day's work. You go to bed that night, you put your head down on your pillow, and there's no guilt. You feel good about what you did. You feel fulfilled, and to not pass that value on, I think, is to rob something from them. Is you're robbing them of the joy of work, and that joy and that sense of accomplishment. And I do truly believe that that's one of the things that we need to try to instill into more people, and instill into the young, that trying to chase the desk job may not be the right path. That following that hard work might be the path, because we need some hard workers, guys. And if we're going to build this back, it's not going to be George and Jeremiah. I mean, we're not that hard a worker anyway, but we're
do all right.
we do all right. But we really do need hard workers to engage and show up to work and do the job. I mean, I've absolutely seen the impact of what a couple of guys in a plant can do that have a good attitude, man. Have a good attitude, a good work ethic. They want to see things better and the improvements they make. And it is amazing the amount of impact that can be made by somebody with a good attitude and a good work ethic. Absolutely. They don't have to be the smartest. They don't have to be the fastest. They don't even have to be the best dressed.
Oh, jeez.
They just...
Tell me what you really think.
But if they've got a good work ethic, I mean, really, if they've got a good work ethic and a good attitude, like a positive attitude, it makes all the difference in the world. And we're losing that. Yeah. And we didn't just lose that recently, because I watched that deteriorate in the guys that were older than me. I watched that start to deteriorate in them, and the attitude, the relationship between employer and employee has eroded quite a bit. And we can get into that more. But I do believe we need to take responsibility for what it is that our role in this is, and how we work our way out of this, because it looks a whole lot like hard work. And I do believe that we are going to have to work our way out of this.
So, you want to look at wrapping up? I think I hear thunder.
You hear thunder? That's not thunder. That's a freaking train.
Well, that's a train, but I heard thunder earlier.
Yeah, I think this is probably where we need to wrap it up.
Okay.
But,
well, I just want to posit to y'all that this is our opinions on things, and like we're trying to just as much as everybody else figure it out. So nothing we say is like set in stone, and we'd like to hear from y'all. Anybody watching this, like maybe future topics you'd like us to talk about. Having a little bit of insight in the industry or that. And we're going to touch on, like I said, other topics. Probably more lighthearted stuff. In the future. It's not always going to be doom and gloom, I hope.
And if you guys can share the video, we greatly appreciate it. Help us grow this thing. Our goal is not to be negative. I know that this video there's probably a lot of, sound like complaining going on, pointing out the issues. We do want to be a solutions-based type of approach. We want to have your guys' engagement. If we make a mistake, we say something that you feel is untrue or an error or anything like that, post in the comments. We're human. We make mistakes. I say the wrong word all the time for things. But I do want there to be an active engagement. And like I said, if you've got any ideas for shows, things of that nature, that would be awesome. We have kind of a little running list right now of different ideas, different topics. We started off with a real tough one, but I think going forward, we're going to keep kind of opening up, and hopefully maybe we can get some better lighting and a camera in here too.
Yeah,
so.
maybe one that doesn't die on
One
us
that just
halfway
dies
through
halfway
the
through the
show.
thing. But I ain't re-recording this.
Oh no.
So, you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you for your time. Please
Check the comments below. We're going to put some
Yep.
videos for some better videos than what we could put together on, the nuances of certain supply chains, just to give you an idea.
Yep.
Further. And hey, I thank y'all for watching.
Like, subscribe. Right?
And
Is that how they
share,
say?
yeah.
Share?
I don't know.
Is that how they do it? Yeah.
Take care.
Bye-bye.